It is. It
Yeah,
is. It's 100% scary, and even to this day, as far as we've made it, I'm
yeah.
still like, huh?
So you're bartending, you're in law school, and
Hmm.
you say, let me add something else to my plate. Let me launch a brand.
Yes.
What in the world
Yes.
did your friends and
Yes.
family say?
Yeah. So there was a few people who were like, "Don't do that. Like, take care of your kids." And I had one friend who was like, "The cash that you have, go buy a house." Um, and I was like, "Okay, I could do that." But I want to start this brand though, which is that middle child
Yeah,
energy, right? You tell me not to do something, I'm gonna do it
one hundred
anyway.
percent.
So it was like all the people who were like, "Don't go do that." I was like, "Okay," and I did it
Mm.
anyway. It was like the push I needed to go actually do it.
What's been your biggest learning to date in rolling out Red Rose?
Myself,
Yeah.
I I am not the person I used to be.
Mm-hmm. All right, welcome back to the Liquid Entrepreneur Podcast. Today, I am super excited to have this young lady in front of me. It's something about when I have women on the show, and I've only had one prior to you, but it's something. The energy is always different, so I'm super excited, and that was in a good way. But I'm super excited to have with me today the founder of Red Rose Vodka, Miss Taylor Red. Taylor, what's going on?
Oh, all the amazing things. I'm excited about the future. Life is great right now.
Life is great. So, whatever you got going on in your life, how do you bottle that and give me some?
I know, right? It's inside of Red Rose. It's inside the bottle.
Yeah, right. So I see you. I see you over there glowing. What's been going on? How's everything been these past few days for you?
I mean, things have been amazing. I just came back from Florida, got a total wine deal. Really excited about that. I'm working on just getting more accounts in Florida. Florida did really well in 2020, so I'm trying to
Yeah.
get that momentum back up. Went to the Uncle Nearest Summit. That was great information. It was great to meet you in person. I mean, things are just rolling. Things that I prayed for are happening, and I'm just excited about that.
That's what's up. So, I mean, guys, what she's talking about is Red Rose, and we're gonna. It's something that you're gonna want to hear about. If you're keyboard hustling, get your
Hmm.
keyboards ready because she's gonna tell us a little bit about her journey, a little bit about where she got, how she got to where she's at, and we're gonna dive
Hmm.
all in. Hopefully nothing's off limits, but if it is, we'll press the pause button real quick. um, so I've heard, uh, I've heard, and I don't remember if it's from conversations we've had or from some
Hmm.
information I looked up, but my understanding is you went to law school.
Hmm.
Is
Yeah,
that
I
correct?
did.
So tell me
Yeah,
about that.
so
What made you want to get into law?
I grew up in Riverdale, Georgia, and in Riverdale, when we lived in Riverdale, my mom worked for King and Spalding. It's still the number one law firm to this day. So my goal when I got older was I wanted to be just like my mom, and I wanted to go work for King and Spalding. So I went to a community college because I had my son at 19. So I went to community college, got a paralegal degree, and then I got my pre law degree online. And my goal is still to become an attorney. I mean, I'm super excited about that. It's no longer to work for King and Spalding, but it is to learn more about the liquor industry and understanding the laws and the complications of what we're getting into, right?
Yeah,
So I really leveraged my background to jump in and take a deep dive into all these different laws and all the different states and exporting and all of that. So
yeah.
that's yeah, that's where the law degree comes in.
So growing up, any brothers, sisters, any siblings?
Mm. Yeah, so I have an older brother and then I have a younger sister. So I'm the middle child. So
The
I'm the
middle child.
the hard headed
What is there truth into that whole middle child
one.
stigma?
Yeah, there's some truth there. I don't know how it's true, but it's definitely true. I mean, we literally like it's like the older kid is like, "Oh no, don't do that." The middle child's like, "I'm with all of it." And then the younger child's like, "Oh yeah, I'm just here." Like,
Mm,
I'm with all the shits. So,
right,
I
right.
think it is true.
That's crazy. So, when you were growing up, were there any folks in your family, whether it's your or anybody close to you, not necessarily even blood relatives, but just anybody in general that were entrepreneurs that kind of gave you the entrepreneurial spirit?
Yeah, so my grandmother,
Oh,
why Red Rose, right? So my
tell me about
grandmother,
her.
Rose Red, she, yeah, so she owned flea markets. Me and my cousins were at her house every day in the summertime. I'll never forget. She had two flea markets and she had a bottling recycling company. So like she collected cans and stuff to make income. And at her flea market, she allowed women to come in and generate income. These are like single moms who need to make income to make ends meet or whatever the case may be. So I get my entrepreneurial spirit from her.
Hold on, hold on. Don't let that. Don't go past that too quick. How in the world do you get to own
Okay.
a flea market? How does that even happen?
Right, I don't even know. I asked her sister. Her sister was like, she bought some land, she owned some land, and she just put a flea market on it. And there was one. It was in Hazelwood, up in Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
So we lived in Cincinnati for years. Um, she owned a piece of land in Hazelwood, and then she owned land in Wyoming. I can't think of the city name right now. It's right outside of Wyoming. It's in Cincinnati, and she would collect items and take them out to the yard and set them out for sale, and people would be in and out all day long.
And you said she owned a can recycling business. That is
Yep, yeah. So
that
she
is
would
my.
collect cans. Yeah,
No, I'm saying that's mind blowing from the standpoint of when you think of businesses that people typically jump in. The first thing that comes to mind isn't necessarily a can recycling business, or even a
yeah,
flea market, but there's a space for that. So I mean,
yes.
kudos to her. Um, is were there any other entrepreneur like where did she get? Do you know if you don't know, but where did she even get that entrepreneurial spirit from?
Yeah, so I have had multiple conversations with my great aunts, like where, like what, how, when, where, all of that, right? Um, they they told me like she was that middle child energy, right? She was with the shits.
Right.
So she even like at graduation, her sister had told me that at graduation, like when they were in school, all the girls had to wear skirts.
Okay.
And they said she walked across the stage in some jeans.
That's what's up.
And she never wore the skirts and she would get like suspended and she'd be like, I don't care, I'm wearing jeans, you can't tell me what I could wear.
Wow.
And then one time she was working as a server in a restaurant and some guy had said something real slick to her and she like cut back like, you're not gonna talk to me like
Right.
that, black or not, you're not gonna talk to me like that. I mean, she gives me like Rosa Parks energy, like
Yeah.
I'm not moving because I deserve to be here. So all the stories that I get from her siblings, I'm like, I have that same tenacious energy. Like she was a literal firecracker, and I have that same energy within me.
Man, and you said she was a middle child too.
Yeah, she was a middle child too.
All right.
Yes, it's something
It's
about the
it's all making
children.
sense. It's all adding up.
It's coming
It's
together
all
now.
adding up. So my middle child, I remember taking her to um a property that I had bought because we were going to Airbnb the property, and
Yeah.
at the time she was 7, and she's standing next to me. She said, "Yeah, when you die, I'm going to own this place." And I'm like, "Well, don't kick me out that quick." And I'm like, "What are you going to do with it?" She like, and I said, "What are you going to do with it?" She said, "I'm going to make $1 million." But I'm like, she's 7. You know what I mean? And then she went about her business.
I
And
know that's right.
So, I mean, part of me was like, yay. You know, sleep with one eye
Right.
open, you know, but you
I
know,
was sleep with one eye
right.
open, cause
No, but I love that energy. I love that energy.
yeah.
So I'm sorry. So take me back. So you said you were born in Georgia. Where did you grow up?
Okay, so I was born in Cincinnati,
Oh,
and
Cincy.
then my mom moved to Riverdale. So we
Okay.
lived in Riverdale for about 10, 12 years.
Okay.
And then we moved back to Cincinnati. And then I like essentially grew up in Cincinnati.
Okay. Talk to me about growing up in Cincinnati. You know, like what was life like growing up in Cincy?
We lived a very suburban lifestyle. I can't attest to, and this is no offense to anyone, but I can't attest to like the lights being cut off or bills not being paid. Like my mom made sure we were straight. At one point in time, she worked 3 jobs to make sure the ends was met or whatever. And she also she put us in sports. So me and my sister were on the swim team. We were like a handful of black kids on the swim team. I also did horseback riding. I was a cheerleader. Like, I really lived a very suburban lifestyle with a single parent. Of course, being the middle child, I wasn't, the best of the best. I did give her a hard time for the most part. But we lived a very, very regular, suburban lifestyle.
And that's cool. I mean, we need to normalize that lifestyle. That's actually a good thing, you know.
Yes, it's okay that you grew up in the suburbs. Like, there's nothing wrong with that.
I'm also seeing some more themes coming out, right? So, and again, I'm projecting because of my kids, but I put my kids in a lot of those type of activities too, because they would drive me insane. Yeah. So you guys were giving your mother a hard time. That's why she had y'all in so much stuff.
Exactly. And the swim team, like that's a full-time job. Because swim meets, you're at the swim meets all day, and sometimes we would have to stay in hotels and stuff. Because if we're in Indiana and we're at a swim meet, you're not driving back home and coming back. So we would stay like Thursday to Sunday because you're in your swim meet all weekend. So she kept us busy for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna put you up on some game with the swim meets. So we put our daughters in the swimming last year because swimming tires you out more than any other thing that you can do. So it was very strategic.
Wore out.
It was very strategic to put you in swim meets. It was to say, okay, when they get back, they'll sleep. So kudos to mom too. Moms and grandma knew what they were doing. Absolutely.
Exactly.
So I know we talked a little bit about law school. Did you now remind me? Did you say you always wanted to be a lawyer when you were growing up? Was that kind of the track that you were always on and the rest of the doing?
Yeah. So I went to a vocational school in high school. I actually went to a vocational school for nursing. I really wanted to go for the legal side. I can't think of the name right now, but I went for nursing thinking I wanted to be a nurse and found out I didn't want to. So then once I went into college, I switched to the legal aspect of things. My goal is still to become an attorney. So when I lived in Cincinnati, I worked for the courthouse. I was working for the district court judge at the time. Never forget her. She's an amazing woman. And once she was resigning, she was like, you got to go live your life. And in that moment, I was like, where am I going? What am I going to do? And that's how I ended up in Charlotte. Long story short, I went back. I did go back to Georgia. I moved back to Georgia. I still have family there. My sisters and my brothers, things like that. I still live there. So I was like, I can make it work, and I couldn't make it work. And it also didn't feel like home. So I ended up coming to Charlotte, and I absolutely love Charlotte for the most part. And that's kind of how I got into. So once I was getting my pre-law degree, I was working as a bartender, and that's how I got in the industry, got in the spirits industry.
Tell me about that bartending gig. What led you to bartending, and how did you feel about it? Because I know as much as I'm in and out of bars, that can be a lot of work, and
Yeah, it's labor intensive. It's a
Yeah,
very labor intensive job. Like we don't get paid enough.
yeah.
Especially like when I first started, we were literally making $2.13 an hour, and then
Wow,
whatever we made in tips, we had to split it. So
wow.
I got into bartending because I was in school during the day. So I was
Hmm.
like, I need something to do. I gotta pay the bills, and I'm new to Charlotte. I don't know anybody, no family here, nothing. I gotta figure this thing out. So I took the course. I took the course in a week, passed the test with flying colors, all of that. Like, so I was like, this is like second nature to me. So I started bartending, and then I wanted to become a mixologist. And when you become a mixologist, you gotta learn about the brands, what
Hmm.
they're made with, where they come from, all the things, right? And one thing I noticed is that there's no women representation. And I was like, how is that even possible when 98% of my customers are women coming in here asking for a specific cocktail? So that's where the story originates from. Like,
Hmm.
and that's how I got to Red Rose. Um, but yeah, bartending is a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like it's it's fun, it's intriguing, it's great to meet new people. The conversations are always interesting. I mean, I could talk about conversations that I've had with people all day long, like just very interesting. But um bartending is amazing. I love it, and I still do it to this day. So
Are they any of those conversations that you carry with you today as you're starting to build out and grow your
mm.
brand? Is there any of those conversations that resonate with what you're doing?
um Not necessarily. So like when
Mm-hmm.
people come to the bar, it's more like bartenders are therapists
Mm-hmm.
essentially. When people come to the bar, they're coming to like relax, chill out, and all of that. So if anything, I would say it's great to still have relationships with some of the people who have visited bars that I previously worked at or something like that. But as far as like some advice from somebody
Mm-hmm.
or anything like that, the only thing I could take is nobody has life figured out.
Yeah.
we're all trying to figure, we're all trying to figure it out over a cocktail.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's interesting. So they're trying to figure out life over a cocktail, and at some point
Yeah,
a light bulb goes off. Says, maybe I could create one of those cocktails that will actually help with this therapy session. And I know I'm cutting out a
yeah,
whole lot,
absolutely.
but at some point, Red Rose's birth. How did the idea even come about to create something in the alcohol space?
Hmm. Okay, so becoming a mixologist, I had to learn about all the brands and things like that. And I learned that, all these brands are owned by major corporations.
Mm-hmm.
So also at that same time, I had learned that like Diddy didn't own Ciroc, and then I learned about Tito and how he built his brand. And then I started doing more research into like regular people. I don't want to say regular, but like people who own brands
Mm-hmm.
and not just corporations that own brands. So
Mm-hmm.
I did a lot of research behind that. And I was like, I could do this.
Mm-hmm.
I could create something, right? That women love. So my target audience is women. I mean, I've been behind the bar for 10 years, and I wanted to create something that women could enjoy. But the story comes full circle. When my grandmother had passed, I actually had a dream about Red Rose. So she passed February 9th, right before my
Mm-hmm.
birthday, and I couldn't celebrate myself that year. I couldn't celebrate myself for like 3 years after that. I was really like distraught over the fact that I couldn't be there for her. I couldn't see her before she passed. I couldn't have that last conversation with her. I couldn't, just touch her one more time, talk to her one more time, look into her pretty brown eyes one more time. Like, I couldn't do that. So I really was like, I have to do something for her. Like, so this brand is for her. Um, but I had a dream. I had a dream about Red Rose, and I had woke up in the middle of the night, and I'm like, okay, I gotta do this. I gotta make it happen. But how do I make it make sense? So, Red Rose comes in because my grandmother created a safe space for women when it wasn't traditionally done. She cut out the middleman and just handled everything herself. Well, in the liquor industry, there's a small women representation, even when it comes to an executive level, right? Like so I was like, let me create something that represents her, but also can represent the woman who's enjoying it. So for me, I'm the reason why I created Redd Rose because I want to celebrate the life of Rose Redd, my grandmother. But for women who are enjoying it, what are they celebrating? What are they doing with the people they influence? And that's why Redd Rose was birthed.
That's crazy in a good way. I I have a lot of respect for everyone in the industry.
Yeah.
My story, I kind of came a little less unconventional. I went through the ranks. I actually worked in the alcohol industry for some time. So I say that only because I don't know if I would have had the gumption to do what you did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To jump in,
Yeah.
especially off of a dream. That's that middle child energy right there. Let me just go do it.
Yes.
No,
It is.
I applaud that. So you say, I'm going to start a brand. Now, are you in law school at the time? Like, where are you in life at this time?
Mhm. I was still in law school.
Okay.
Like I was still, and like I was in school during the day, and the nights that I was off, I would stay up all night doing research, figuring out the industry, figuring out like, those people who own brands, how they do it, where they come from, all that stuff. So I even reached out. I'd be like, hey, what's up? I want to start my own vodka. How can I start? And they'd be like, good luck. I don't know what to tell you.
Man.
I had even reached out to Diageo, like, hey, I want to start my own brand. Can y'all tell me what I should do? And they were like, no.
What they say? Did they say don't?
Right? They were like,
Wow.
run away from it.
Wow. Yeah, it can be a scary business,
I was still in school and I was still bartending. It is. It's 100% scary, and even to this day, as far as we've made it, I'm still like, huh.
So you're bartending, you're in law school, and you say, let me add something else to my plate. Let me launch a brand.
Yes.
What in the world
Yes.
did your friends and family say?
Yeah, so there was a few people who were like, don't do that. Like, take care of your kids. And I had one friend who was like, the cash that you have, go buy a house. And I was like, okay, I could do that. But I want to start this brand, though, which is that middle child energy, right? You tell me not to do something, I'm going to do it anyway.
100%.
So it was like all the people who were like, don't go do that. I was like, okay. And I did it anyway. It was like the push I needed to go actually do it.
So you made a couple of calls, or a few, probably several calls, did some research. How did you learn where to start? Was it YouTube University? Like especially for those entrepreneurs who may be thinking of doing something similar to you. Where did you get the information to even get started?
Google. And I like when people call me or email me like, hey, how did you start this, that, and the third? And I hate to say that. Like, I hate to be like, just Google it. Like, because to me, it sounds like, are you stupid? Like, I don't like saying that. So I just say, like, I just did research. But in reality, my research was Google. Like, I was literally how to start a brand, who to call, who to talk to, all of that.
I'm seeing a business proposition for you pop into my head. You need to write a book, How to Start a Liquor Brand. So when they ask you, oh, here's the blueprint.
Here's the book.
Let me make sure I clip this up so we can come back to this. No.
Right. You send me an invoice
Right. See, the lawyer in you, the lawyer mindset in you. Send me my info. No, okay. So you Google, you find out how to get started. How did you come up with the actual liquid, the bottle, all that good stuff? So after you did your Googles or your Googling, where did it lead you to? Where did you go from there?
Okay, so I actually had went down to Atlanta. There was like a women's empowerment event going on that I wanted to go to with my cousin, and we went to this event, and I met a brand manager there. She was super dope. She's still super dope to this day. I still follow her on social media. And I gave her my idea, and she created like the digital behind it. She created the digital blueprint behind Red Rose, because I just wanted to put, a sticker on a bottle and call it a liquid and move on, right? She was like, no, you really got to put love and effort into this. So she created the digital blueprint behind Red Rose. And I worked with her for about a year. And I mean, she really kind of brought Red Rose to life for me, on a digital standpoint.
How long did it take you to come up with the actual liquid that's out in the stores now?
Mm-hmm. So honestly, it took like, I would say, all of like an hour. Really? So the distillery I'm working with, I called her up and I said, hey, I'm trying to create a brand. That's the other thing, like doing the research to figure out what companies can help you make your liquid, right? If you don't have a distillery. So I found a company that I work with that can make the liquid for me. I went down twice to have conversations with them to make sure like I knew what I was doing, because as a lawyer mindset, I gotta understand. If I don't understand, right, I can't do it. So I went down, talked to them. We did tastings. I tasted multiple things, but the strawberry lemon stood out to me the most. It was very bold. It was very powerful. And it was everything that my grandmother represented. It's very tenacious. Like, you can literally sip it straight. So we tried the potato. We tried the rye. We tried, all the things you can make vodka out of. And the corn stood out the most to me, and it gives me that bold, tenacious energy. So we went ahead and moved forward with the strawberry, and of course you got to get approved by the TTB, all the labels and stuff approved, and they wouldn't approve the label. So that took a little bit of time of going back and forth with them and my brand manager at the time, like just going back and forth and making sure that we could get that label approved. But they denied my label. And then when I trademarked Red Rose, a corporation came after me for Red because they have a brand that has red in it, and I was terrified because it's a $1 billion corporation coming after me for Red, but by graces of God, their attorney messed up, and I was able to get the trademark.
Wow! Congratulations.
Yeah, so Red Rose is almost not a thing at all.
But so it sounds like there's a little bit of rose red in every bottle of Red Rose, and that tenacity,
absolutely,
that middle child energy saw you through it. That's
in every bottle.
I love it. I love it. So okay, so you got your liquid, you got your trademarks, you got your bottles, you got your digital. Off to the races, right? You got $20 million worth of sales the first year. You sitting high off the hog, right? Is that how it went?
I wish.
Tell me what it was like. What was that?
Absolutely. Why
not? How was that first year?
That first year was COVID. So
man, smacked in the face.
That first year was COVID. So I started everything in like 2018. 2019, we finally got because my distillery wouldn't put the product out until I got the label approved. So it was a little bit going back and forth with that. And then, of course, I had to wait on the trademark because that company was trying to come after me, blah, blah, blah. So it took a little bit of time for me to get to the actual liquid in a bottle on a shelf. So I finally got to that in November of 2019. I finally got to that space of like, okay, now I could put this bottle on shelves. Got with a distributor. They absolutely loved the product. He didn't even bat an eye. He said, I have to have this in my warehouse. And then I sold my first bottle January 11th, 2020. And was going down. I was supposed to go down to Florida because that's where my distributor was. I was supposed to be going down to Florida. And talks of COVID were happening. right? Shutting down the schools, taking kids out of schools, people like getting ready to lose their jobs, all the things, right? That was like February. Then like March, it was like by March 5th, 6th, March 5th through the 10th, everything was shut down. And I was like, I have 1,500 bottles sitting in a warehouse that I can't even get to, right? We couldn't fly. All the bars were shut down, everything. I was like, what am I supposed to do now? What am I going to do? I had a conversation with my distributor, and that's when they talked about the online platform. So he works with like a fulfillment company where they ship with FedEx and send out the product. I said, okay, but nobody knows about Redd Rose. How am I going to sell this product? Like, no, not a single person knows anything about Redd Rose. So how am I going to sell this? I went on social media. I did a video. I was like, hey, I want to sell 100 bottles in 30 days. And I need y'all support. And that's the only way I'm going to make this work. I ended up selling like 275 bottles in 30 days.
Wow.
In less than 30 days, actually. It was like 20 days. I had 275 sales online.
Wow. So what did you learn about this? What did you learn about yourself through that process?
I learned that I might be slightly insane, but I mean, I learned that as long as I believe in myself, I can literally tackle this thing head on. But I will say that because of COVID, my real sales didn't start until last year, right? Because everything's back open now, and I can actually go in, have the conversation with the bars, see what the market's doing, have the conversation with the stores. So 2020 was amazing. We sold out by the beginning of 2021. But the real work is what we're doing now, right? We're in the store, we're in the bar, we're here, they're there, trying to keep up with all the counts. So I would say that my real sales didn't start until...
Is that a cat?
September of last year. Yeah, it's my cat. She want to get up here so bad. She killing herself to get up here.
I didn't know if that was a cat or somebody was trying to hit you or something.
I know. She sits on the corner of my desk while I work and just stares at me. But I'm like, not today. I need you to chill out today.
See, you can have the cat mascot like Tito has the dog.
Right, exactly.
Wow. So you go online, you jump into social, and you sell some product. How beneficial has social media been in you helping you grow the brand?
Social media is the only way that I could have grown the brand, honestly, because yes, I know people, but I am very private about my life. Yeah. Like I've always been like that though. Like I just keep everything on the hush hush until it happens. So I was bartending, but I wasn't really making real connections with people, you know? It was just their therapy session. Here I am making you a cocktail. Social media was really the only way I would have been able to sell product. Because in reality, if we didn't have social media, I probably would have had to liquidate all that product. Because it would have sat for two years in reality, right? And I would have had to pay my distributor every month for that product to sit. And I couldn't afford it at the time. I mean, just like, you know, when you start, all that startup costs, all that initial stuff is what, you know, getting the first round of bottles, you got to pay for the upfront costs that, like, really put me in the hole. That trademark, that put me in the hole. All the initial things really put you in the hole. So if I didn't have social media to push those online sales, I don't know, I wouldn't have been able to meet the demand.
Who's been your biggest champion so far? Whether it's somebody in your family or friends or whoever, who's been championing you, and keeping you with that energy?
Yeah, so it would have to be multiple people. Yeah. I can't even name one person. People in my circle, like my very close-knit circle, have been my biggest supporters. So, like, from my mom, of course, to my cousin Kendra, to Crystal, who has been, like, a big sister to me, to Jennifer Moxley, who is my PR, to my mentors, to my closest friends. Like, I mean, it's a group of people who are like, I know Redd Rose is gonna make it. So I can't name a specific person, but there's a good group of people who support Redd Rose.
Yeah, so like one of my mentors told me a while back, and I've kind of carried this mantra with me throughout my life: is your network is your net worth, and that always stuck with me, right? And like I was telling a friend of mine the other day, and I'm always trying to make deposits into that. And so having that great team or good team around you is so important, because there's going to be as many downs as ups and valleys and peaks and everything in between, and to be able to sometimes even have a voice to either have somebody hear you or to get a different perspective is so crucial. So
yeah, because I will say, like, my friend Crystal, I have went up to her house and sat on her bed and cried real tears. And she's just like, girl, you're going to be fine. And I'd be like, Crystal, shut up. I'm not going to be okay. But she would sit there with me for like hours until I was done crying, and I would leave and I would drive home and I'd be like, all right, I'm going to be okay.
It's what you needed. It's what you needed.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, talk to me a little bit about the elephant in the room. Is always, people think everything is simple with just an idea, but the reality is, to do something like this takes money. How's the fundraising journey been for you so far? Is it easy? Is it and look, I know the answer, but this is for the people, because I can say it till I'm blue in the face. What has your fundraising journey been like?
I'm not here for this. This is not it. It's not giving. So I actually have a couple of investors at the moment. Yeah. They're angel investors. Nice. We sold out in Redd Rose sold out in 2021. So I really couldn't get bottles, right? Because the bottles were sitting out on a ship in the middle of the ocean, and I think our bottles are similar, but not the same. But you can't get bottles at the moment because they're sitting out on a ship or whatever. So it had came down to, like, if I can't get an investor, I'm done. I'm giving it up because I don't know what else to do. Like, because I don't have the capital. And I went back to working a full-time job. And I was like, I don't know what to do. I mean, I still was posting on social media, it's coming, but nothing coming. Nothing was coming. Nothing was on the way. So I went back and forth to the bank, like, this is my idea, this is my business plan, this is my goal, this is what I want to do. Like, I really sat inside of my business plan. It's like 12 pages, like financials, all of that. I really sat down and did that. Went to the bank, they're going to give me a loan. I know they are. They were like, yeah, that's cute, but we ain't doing that. Right. So I had actually, and this is why I say it's a multitude of people. So I had actually just called a friend to vent to her, and she was like, how much do you need? And I was like, I just need 30 grand by tomorrow, and I could get some product. And she was like, girl, come get a check. And I was like, what? And she was like, just come get a check. I will cut you a check right now. Like, just come get it. And I was like, don't play with me like that. Because I'm, like, in tears. Yeah. Like, because I had actually just left one of the banks. I went to multiple banks in the city. Like, here's my plan, this, that, and the third. And I had just called her because I was just in tears. Like, I don't know what to do. I got to give Redd Rose up. And she was like, no, I'll cut you a check right now. How much you need? And she cut me a check. And I went and picked it up. And I deposited. It took, like, 12 days because my account was not in good standing.
Hey, the life of an entrepreneur.
It took like 12 days, but I surely did go ahead and pay for product. And then from there, I have other investors, like some smaller investors that put money into marketing and things like that. But right now, I'm actually in this space where I need to go bigger. So I really need to go for that 6-figure amount. This will be my first crowdfund. And I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to do it because I have a good network, right? Like you just said, your network is your net worth. I have a good network, a really good network of people who I know could be like, yeah, I can give you 30 grand a day and I see it in 2 years or whatever. Or I have someone who sold their company, and he would literally be like, "Here go 100 grand. I'll see it in 4 years," or whatever the case may be, right? But this is a new space. This is new territory, right? Nobody in my family has done this. There's nobody to really teach me, like, Taylor, this is what you need to do, who really understands what I need to do. Learning about safes, convertible notes, angel investors, private equity, VCs, like, this stuff is new territory, and it's almost scary to a point where I'm like, am I really about to? How do you ask people for money? Like, how do you say, like, hey, can you give me some money? Right? So it's this new uncharted territory, and I'm an overthinker and an overanalyzer, so I'm really trying to push through my thoughts, but I'm just now really getting into that space of, like, okay, it's really time to sit down and say, like, if you give me 250 grand, this is what it looks like. This is what I can give you back. This is how much equity you have, or whatever the case may be. So I'm just now getting into that space, and it's a very scary space for me, but I'm ready to tackle it head on.
Hey, sometimes you just gotta ask. Like you just said, it's sometimes I don't want to oversimplify it, but literally sometimes it's as simple as asking. And
Yeah,
going back to the Googles, figuring out who and where.
Going back to Google.
Yep. No, wow. So, hey, look, I'm pulling for you. Anybody who has enough wherewithal to just start a brand, you're going to figure that out. And when not even hopefully, when you do, I'm hoping you'll post it on, either your socials and any other sites, because we would love to direct them to. If you do a crowdfunding, whatever the case may be, we'll definitely make sure that we plug into where they can find that information.
Absolutely. I appreciate it.
So here's the $1 million question that everybody always wants to know. Who's your top 5?
Who's my top 5? Like, my top 5 favorite people?
Nope. Music. You wasn't ready for this one, right? See, here at the Liquid Entrepreneur Podcast, we like to show the holistic person, right? So we know that you're more than just a brand. So, your top 5. Who are your top 5?
God, dang.
I'm going to play some of that music for you.
I know, right? Because in the morning, I say, hey, Google, play 90s R&B. Selena is my number one.
Okay.
I love Selena.
Okay.
Love Selena. She's number 1 for sure. Number 2, Ice Cube. I'm in the gym. I'm listening to Ice Cube.
Cube, Selena.
Hype.
Couldn't get any more. That's that middle child energy.
You asked me my top 5. You didn't say.
Hey, keep going. I am not mad at you.
Selena, Ice Cube. I'm a Nicki fan.
Okay.
I'm like a diehard Nicki Minaj fan. For sure. Matter of fact, let me open up my Pandora.
Look at you.
Young Dolph has been one that I'm like, Young Dolph is he's legit.
So that's 4. So Selena, Cube, Nicki, Dolph. Who gets that fifth spot?
And then it's like between like SZA and Meek Mill.
SZA and Meek.
Ooh, but Marsha Ambrosia.
Okay.
Ooh, child.
Okay.
Ooh, this is hard, because then there's Luke James, and I'm like, that's my man. So I think for 5, I'll probably have to go. For 5, I'll probably have to go SZA.
All right. That's a very unique mix of people, and it's funny because I've asked this question so far. I don't know if I'm doing it every time, but I've asked this question to everybody I've spoken to since we started, and it's always very telling who's in their top 5. You can see it in their brand in them, and the fact that yours is such a wide range. I see it's something about your choice of artists, and even your brand and how you present the brand and being able to connect with different people. I see it. There's a connection there. So it's interesting. I may have to keep this question going in future episodes.
Absolutely, that's a
Yeah,
good question because
yeah.
that's a little tough. It's a little hard.
What's been your biggest learning to date in rolling out Red Rose?
Myself,
Yeah.
I I am not the person I used to be.
Mm-hmm.
And that comes from like a spiritual aspect. I mean, you really have to ground yourself and know like this is my journey and I have to focus on that regardless of if I lose my homegirl, our friendship is tarnishing because I'm just too busy. Or I always feel guilty when I leave my kids and I have to remind myself like eventually we're going to be able to take vacations together, but right now I have to work. Reminding myself that I am not my bank account.
That is hilarious.
I'm not my bank account, but my bank account is
Right,
me.
right.
um Really teaching myself that I'm capable of whatever I put my mind to. Jumping into the spirits industry like they talked about at the summit, we are slightly insane to think we could tackle this industry, but we know we're capable of doing it. Taking on these big brands head on and be like, no, I have a better product than you. Or I have a product that stands out a little bit more. My biggest lesson learned is me. Like, really figuring out who I am and what I'm capable of.
I like that. So, we're at the end. I do have one other set of questions that I like to go through. It's a little game I play. It's called Here's One of My Favorites. And it doesn't mean it has to be your absolute favorite, but it's just one of your favorites, right? So you don't have to feel the guilt if you say, oh, what about this one?
Yeah.
So here is one of my favorite business leaders, any industry. Business leaders.
Mm-hmm. You're not making this easy at all.
Never.
You gotta prepare me or something.
It's so much better off the top.
Yeah. Favorite business leaders. Can I pick two?
Sure.
Can I go two? Okay.
Middle child energy.
Yeah, I'll just pick two. Yep. Give me an inch,
There
I can
it
take a
is.
mile. My first would have to be like Issa Rae. I love her energy. Yeah. Love that she is like living in the unknown. She has middle child energy. Like, I don't know what she about to do next, but I love the energy she has, like the energy she possesses. And then my second would have to be Brenda Gilbert. A lot of people don't know who she is. She's the owner of Bronze Studios. It's like the Warner Brothers for Canada.
Wow.
I actually reached out to her on social media because I saw an interview that she did on YouTube, and I was like, oh my God, this amazing woman. I really have to be in touch with her. She had a few phone calls with me, like in the beginning stages when I was trying to figure stuff out. And to be able to touch a woman of that magnitude really did something for me. So I would have to say like Issa Rae and Brenda Gilbert are my top.
You sent Brenda the gift package yet?
I need to.
And you know that wasn't a question.
I know. I'm actually putting on my to-do list right now. Where my pen at?
Here is one of my favorite brands. And it doesn't have to be like brands in general. Any type of brand. Here's one of my favorite brands.
You're really making me think. And I'm like, my favorite brand is Redd Rose Vodka.
Okay. You can't go wrong with that answer. Can't go wrong with that.
That's my favorite brand. I love the story. I love the energy. I love the way it makes me feel. I love the way it tastes. I love the sexiness. I love the sleek. I love all of it. My favorite brand is Redd Rose Vodka.
Here's one of my favorite movies.
Favorite movie that I could watch 25 times. Okay, I'm a hopeless romantic, so my favorite movie is The Notebook. And then most recently, my favorite movie is Sylvie's Love. So those are two movies that I can watch multiple
See you
times.
sneaking in two again, but we'll let that ride. Here's one of my favorite places to travel.
I really loved Austin,
Yeah,
Texas. Truly loved Austin, Texas.
yeah.
Loved it. Yeah, Austin, Texas is my favorite.
It's a good young vibe energy in Austin. You know, like a very progressive, I should say, vibe down there, and it's like laid
Yeah,
back progression, if that makes sense. Yeah.
yeah. I really loved it. Loved Austin.
Here is one of my favorite mentors.
Hmm. Hmm. I would probably have to bring Brenda
Mm.
back up with that one. She really put some information in me, and I appreciate her like 100% for that. So
Here's one of my favorite qualities in a person.
I would say like genuineness, like intention behind whatever you are doing.
Okay. And final question. Here is one of the favorite things about myself.
Damn, I should be able to answer that quicker. I would say my superpower is making people feel who they really are. Like really being intentional with conversations I have with people and making sure that they leave with something. Like so I would say my superpower is being intentional with other people.
That's dope. That's dope. Well, I thank you for sharing yourself and your journey with us
I thank
on the
you.
podcast. Like I said, we try to do things a little bit different. Didn't want to ask you the same old. Tell me about this. You know. So I think your
Yeah.
story is uplifting, inspirational to a lot of entrepreneurs, um, male and female. And you know, your story is still being written. So we will definitely be following. And I created this space as a safe space for. Obviously, we're focused on beverage industry founders, but anybody that's starting a
Mhm.
business
Mhm.
can learn from our journey, you know. And
Absolutely.
what I'm hoping we can do out of this is build community, right? So as we pour out, we want to be able to pour in and connect those dots.
Yeah.
So as I've said to everyone else, as I and we can help you and vice versa, I'm sure. Let's be sure
Mhm.
to do that. Where can everybody find you? Find Redd Rose.
Mhm.
Tell us where your socials and all that good stuff.
Yeah. So Redd Rose is REDDROSE vodka on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, all the things except for TikTok. I took TikTok off. I couldn't. But anyway, all the social media handles at Redd Rose Vodka. You can find Taylor Red on LinkedIn or Facebook.
Perfect. And if people want to buy some product, where can they find the product?
So I'm working on Total Wine. They just placed their order, so I'll be able to put those
Congrats.
addresses, locations out very soon. If
Congrats.
you are not in a state that we're in stores, you can. Thank you so much. You can order it online, and then North Carolina we're in stores, and Florida we're in stores.
Yeah, and I say this wholeheartedly. Likes are great. Kudos are great, but vote with your dollars. Vote with your dollars. Buy
Yes,
some product, people. Buy some
yes,
product. Check out.
yes.
Uh,
And ask for her by name when you're at your favorite bar. Ask for her by name.
exactly. Taylor, it's been amazing. I appreciate you. You are my, like I think I mentioned it, but you are my first virtual guest. So hopefully everything worked right. We will see. But
Yes.
I definitely appreciate you. The next time we're in a room together, we'll have to chop it up and do it again. And until next time.
Absolutely.
Peace. Thank you.
I appreciate
Absolutely.
you.
Have a great one.